Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources and really try to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge. Today, we're digging into a pretty fascinating study. It's all about the evolving landscape of artificial intelligence and, well, business ethics.
Yeah, it's a really timely piece. We're looking at a bibliometric analysis by Tani and colleagues.
Right, so they've mapped out the research trends, basically, looking at how ethical thinking around AI and management has developed since 2016.
Which was a key year, really, kind of when AI started hitting the mainstream much more widely.
Exactly. So our mission today is to figure out what really matters in this space, especially since, let's face it, AI is far from a neutral technology.
Oh, absolutely. And what's striking is seeing how the whole conversation around AI ethics in business has, well, matured. The study shows a field that, okay, maybe it was a bit fragmented early on, but it's definitely starting to coalesce around some really critical themes.
And it mentions those traditional ethical frameworks like utilitarianism, deontology.
Exactly. Utilitarianism, greatest good, deontology, focusing on duties and rules, virtue ethics on character. These have been the go-to frameworks. But the paper points out, and I think this is crucial, they often fall a bit short when you're dealing with the unique challenges AI throws up. It learns, it evolves, it's complex.
Okay, so let's unpack that evolution. The study splits the research into three periods, right, marking these shifts. So 2016 to 2020, that was the emergent phase.
That's right, the early days. Research then was really focused on core concerns, things like how consumers perceive AI, accountability, trust, and also, how AI might change human-machine relationships and decision-making processes.
Then you get to 2021, 2022, and you mentioned fragmentation earlier. Was that just like growing pains, a necessary messy phase?
I think it was a bit of both, actually, and necessary complexity, perhaps. You definitely saw more fragmented topics. But importantly, this period also cemented what the paper calls motor themes. Think of them as the main engines driving the research forward, well-developed topics.
Okay, like what?
Well, things like the ethical side of AI and customer service, the theoretical development of AI ethics itself, and critically, those emerging biases in HR systems, in human resource management.
The hiring biases.
Huge issue. And this timing isn't accidental, right? It lines up with the rise of these monster models, these huge, complex AIs, like the large language models we use now. Plus, you had growing global competition in AI, and the EU starting to really emphasize the need for specific regulations.
Right, things were heating up. And that brings us to the latest period, 2023 onwards. This feels like where we are now, really. ChatGPT launches publicly late 22, and suddenly research just accelerates, themes start integrating more.
Exactly. The motor theme shifted again. Now covering things like success factors for implementing AI, responsible innovation, a big one, and the really deep societal impacts of LLMs, especially, their role in hiring and the workplace generally.
And you also see this idea of effective computing popping up.
Yeah.
AI as a social companion.
Yeah, that's emerging as a more basic foundational theme. It's about AI designed to understand and, crucially, respond to human emotions. Fascinating and maybe a little unsettling for some.
Definitely. So let's connect this back. For you listening, what does this mean if you're, say, a manager or involved in policy?
Well, the implications are pretty stark. For managers, the big message is ethics isn't an optional extra for AI. It has to be foundational. You need to move beyond just thinking about efficiency gains. You've got to consider the ethical basis of what you're doing. Transparency, fairness, accountability. These have to be front and center.
Because of that black box problem.
Precisely. If the AI's decision-making isn't clear, or if it overrides human intuition and empathy without good reason, that's a problem. And that effective computing point, ignoring the emotional dimension of how people interact with AI, say, in customer service, that could really alienate people. It's an ethical blind spot.
Makes sense. And for government, how do we stop the misuse?
The paper really argues for a proactive government role, setting clear guidelines, ways to measure compliance, and proper oversight. This is key to tackling things like machine washing.
Right, where companies might just claim their AI is ethical without really proving it.
Exactly, like ethics washing. Without strong oversight, it just erodes public trust. So it's all about finding that balance between encouraging AI's amazing potential and managing the very real risks, like bias and discrimination.
So wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway here?
I think it's that AI ethics is incredibly dynamic. It's not a fixed set of rules. It's constantly evolving as the technology itself evolves, especially with things like large language models.
Which means we need constant critical thinking, right?
Absolutely. Not just about what AI can do, but reflecting deeply on how it should operate. in our businesses, in our society.
So maybe the provocative thought for you to take away today is this. As AI keeps learning and reshaping our world, how do we ensure its evolution is guided by, well, truly universal ethical principles, rather than just reacting to the concerns or technological possibilities of the moment?
That's the big challenge, isn't it?
It really is. Something this study certainly brings home.